business to business and business to government sales, or business to business to government segments. In terms of the business segment, businesses generally favor the suppliers from their home or domestic market. So CeraLith intends on establishing a facility in central Russia so that they can develop trust and display commitment, and also develop long-term relationships with their customers and the relevant stakeholders. In addition, service and dependability are also highly sought after by businesses. So CeraLith plans to offer technical services packages in order to address the needs of the manufacturers who are going to be utilizing CTL products. CTL is the acronym for CeraLith Technology. For example, the experienced service engineers will train manufacturing personnel for the businesses in order to properly handle the ceramic cement so that they can ensure the desired result. And lastly, the product will appear to businesses based on the industry in which they're going to be applied. And the three industries we're going to focus on is the construction and infrastructure industry, the clay building materials and refractories industry. And for those of you who don't know what refractories are, I didn't know what they were until I did this project. They're basically materials that are used in applications that require like an extreme resistance to heat. And the third industry, and most importantly, is going to be the nuclear waste management industry, which is directly related to government. In terms of the government segment, CTL is going to have to develop. It's critical that they develop a strong relationship with the government so that they can earn their trust, and they have to anticipate the negotiations being bureaucratic and lengthy. For example, a company that provides industrial products who wishes to enter the Russian market is going to have to provide what is called a certificate of conformity, and in order to get that, CeraLith is going to have their product tested and assessed by industry experts, so that the way they can ensure that they're conforming to industry standards that are set by the government. So the main reasons why in essence, the reasons why we're targeting businesses and governments and the government is because CeraLith strongly believes that their products that industrial companies can strongly benefit from their products because they're cutting edge. For example, a construction industry can use CTL ceramic cement in establishing or developing a housing development. And we're targeting the government because they are the ones who establish industry regulations, and they decide who gets contracts, and therefore the government funding for these contracts, which can potentially be long-term and lucrative. And CeraLith perceives this government assistance to be the springboard into their product commercialization.
Okay, so as far as entry mode, the first thing we have to consider is why we're going into Russia. Mainly it's because it's located closer to the raw material sources, which will cut costs in transportation and raw materials in general. There's also magnesite reserves in the Irkutsk region of Russia, which magnesite is one of the main ingredients in our cement. Spectre, which we talked about before, also has found facilities that can be converted to use as ceramic cement plants. And they also produce furnaces that produce magnesium oxide, which is another ingredient, or the same ingredient. In addition, 50% of the necessary resources to produce this cement can be found in Russia, so there's human capital as well as facilities that would help us out. Another reason is because it could open up our European channels, so we would have closer access to the rest of Europe, which would help because, in general, world cement consumption is expected to rise by 2012, especially in areas that pertain to environmental awareness, so that could help CeraLith. When we're trying to make a partnership, one of the main goals is to protect the product as well as the company. They're equally important. We also want to lower costs and meet long-term research and development goals as well as commercialization goals. So all of those goals would exclude a wholly owned subsidiary because that's too financially risky and it doesn't protect the company. Franchising wouldn't really help with research and development because it's inefficient to communicate between the franchises, and exportation is also inefficient because that's what we're doing right now out of Korea, and we're trying to decrease costs. So we would need to move into Russia. So we've determined, or CeraLith has determined that they need to do joint ventures and licensing. Joint ventures mainly because we would share political and financial risk with the company that we partner with. We also earn the favor of the Russian government, and we can overcome cultural issues. Some problems with joint ventures in general is a conflict over ownership percentages, but we don't see this as a risk because we've already formed working relationships with Russian companies. In terms of licensing, we're only licensing our marketing information, not particular production or technology information. We also have a lower financial risk, and we can rapidly get into the market. An issue with that would be that we rely on the Russian company to generate revenue, which we don't see as an issue because we're into customer service over mass quantity of customers, and customer service is the part that CeraLith would be doing, so we aren't depending on the company that much. And we aren't really losing information because we're only licensing what's necessary for marketing, not anything that's really imperative that we would lose to the company. We would also have to create an enduring long-term relationship so that we could trust them. And lastly, now that we know what our goals are, the types of businesses we'd be looking into, like we've already said, is the government, which is crucial because they would give us funding for public safety initiatives like the nuclear waste. Then also construction, because they know how to successfully introduce these products into the construction market. And we also need companies that follow international standard organizations standards. Okay.
Okay, so after choosing our market entry strategy, we have to go with a brand strategy for CeraLith. And as described before, CeraLith's products, the nature of them in general are just that they're very specialized, high technology products. So we're going to offer a standardized brand image of superior quality into the Russian market. And because of the product and service of ceramic cement, it's going to be an adapted product since it can be manipulated to have certain characteristics depending on what our customer wants. We specialize it to them. We're going to offer a variety of products on the same product line of ceramic cements. So again, the variability is key of ceramic cements. The packaging, what it looks like is basically, if anyone's ever seen what regular cement comes in, it's these just big bags. They're called super ton bags. But actually that as well can be adjusted to the customer's needs as well. We believe that this product is well positioned in the Russian market to target the segments of the business to business and business to government.
Okay, so as far as price, our overall pricing strategy is that up front, this is more expensive than Portland cement, but it does include technical support and long-term sustainability because of the environmental benefits.